What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out a brand new Cubic Trap card that just got revealed. This is coming out of the 20th Anniversary Legendary Collection. I was kind of surprised to see Cubics get more support because they are still fairly new as an archetype. You know, they came out with Dark Side of Dimensions, excellent movie if you've never seen it. I guess technically you do have to classify Cubics as a DM archetype. I'm not sure if Dark Side of Dimensions is canon, but that would still kind of put it in the DM, the DM era as far as like the anime goes. But this is Cubic Omen. It's a normal trap card. The first and second effects are both hard once per turn, but you can use them in the same turn. First effect says place a number of cubic counters up to the number of cubic monsters you control on face-up monsters your opponent controls. A monster with a cubic counter on it cannot attack and its effects are negated. Effect number 2, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one cubic monster you control. That's the cost. For the rest of this turn, each time that monster you control destroys a monster that has a cubic counter on it by battle, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of the destroyed monster. All right, so this is a card that originally I was actually just gonna trash. I was like, oh my god, this card is absolutely terrible, but I kind of started liking this card the more I really thought about it. And I'm not trying to say like this card is excellent or anything like that. I think that it's mildly adequate. That's probably the perfect, I guess, term that I would use for it. Kind of feels like a 0 to 1 up. The first effect is essentially a non-targeting Fiendish Chain. It does stop your opponent's monsters from attacking or activating their effects, and it does not target, which is probably the best part. It is kind of reliant on your field at the time that you activate it. I would probably say that you want to get this off with at least 2 monsters, but if you have to settle with 1, that can be actually pretty good as well, as long as you're negating maybe like a Link 3 or higher monster. That's not bad. Now the second effect was kind of a letdown to me, where you're basically giving any of your cubic monsters the ability to become a flame wingman, and that's cool and all, but it feels like it's just very linear, because I think that it really only works well with the Crimson Nova, right? The cubic boss monster that kind of is like a BLS, and it's unaffected by monsters that have less than 3,000 attack, and then it burns both players for 3,000. Yes, it gives you another avenue to potentially OTK your opponent, because if you're running over one of your opponent's monsters, if it's in attack mode, they're going to take a guaranteed 3,000 damage, and then you still have that, in phase 3,000 damage as well, and that's fine. But it feels like all cubic spells and traps just kind of lead back to Nova, and it's like that's the only way the deck has ever legitimately had offense. I mean, Cubic Karma is another card that a lot of times people will use with Nova, the OTK. Cubic Wave, kind of the same thing. If you can send 3 V-Jams to the graveyard, Cubic Wave can give your Nova 2,400 attack. Now I will say the fact that there are other cubic cards in the archetype that can give counters is actually kind of nice. Cubic Wave can give counters to your opponent's monsters. I believe that V-Jam also gives your opponent's monsters cubic counters, so it kind of means that you have a couple of cards that can give your opponents counters, so that you can use the second effect of this card even if you never put it on the field. This deck has always ran Foolish Burial Goods, because if you dump Karma in the graveyard, you can activate the Rota effect, so this gives you another good target for your Foolish Burial Goods. Or you can use this for like Twin Twister fodder, Nightmare fodder, get it into the graveyard that way and activate the effect. I mean, it's a good card in design, especially the first effect, the non-targeting kind of Fiendish Chain, but I don't like the fact that the second effect feels like the deck still is on that linear path of everything kind of revolves around the boss monster, the Crimson Nova. All of their cards kind of have to OTK through that one card, and this really doesn't change that. So I kind of feel like Konami maybe should have taken the second effect into a different direction, given Cubics maybe another way to play. But I mean, it's an okay card. It feels again like a 0 to 1 of. If you do run it, I feel like it can be impactful. If you don't run it, I feel like you're not missing out on all that much, but it's an okay card. I hated it at first, but thought about it more and more, and I was like, it's adequate, it's okay. Anyways, whatever you guys think about Cubic Omen, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.